Hi, everybody, and welcome to Indeed Live. I'm Abbey Carlton, and if this is your first time here, I am Indeed's Director of Social Impact, which means that I lead our work globally to address bias and barriers in hiring through product innovation, strategic partnerships, and efforts in our communities. And I just want to thank all of you for joining me here today. If you are new to this stream, we come every week live here on Facebook because we know that there is so much going on right now. There is so much changing in the job market due to COVID-19. Many of us have had our lives and our jobs impacted in the past several weeks, and Indeed is here to help. So we have been live now for the last couple of weeks. We will keep coming to you live here to share what's going on in the job market and to share tips and resources about looking for a job right now. I have a bunch of things to share with you today. First, thanks so much to all of you who have been putting in your comments and your questions. You are letting us know what matters most to you, and in turn, we're taking that and using your questions to really shape the content that we are bringing you in these live streams each week. So thank you for that, and just please keep putting those comments and those questions down below. Based on your input, today we are going to talk about how Indeed has made it easier to look for remote jobs, how to get started looking for and applying to jobs on Indeed. I'm going to tell you about some national employers who are urgently hiring right now, share some tips for writing a standout resume, and we'll talk, as we have for the last couple of weeks, about the state of the job market right now, what's happening with some of the trends, some of the data that we are seeing. And finally, I'm going to wrap up by answering some of your frequently asked questions, including one that came up last week around how to avoid and report fraudulent jobs. Okay, a quick disclaimer before we get started. The information in this video is for informational purposes only. Indeed is not a career or legal advisor. As always, don't worry about taking notes. This video will remain here on Facebook. You can come back to it. We're going to make it available on YouTube soon as well. And as I said before, please feel free to ask your questions. I won't be able to respond to them live right here, but we have our Indeed moderator who's going to be going through comments, chat, getting back to you both while we're live and after the fact. And as I said before, we are always using those questions to shape what we bring to you in the next week. So keep them coming, please. All right, great. Let's jump in. So many of you want to know what Indeed is doing to make finding a job faster and easier during this really challenging time. We've made a couple of updates that we hope will make searching for a job a little bit easier for everybody. A lot of folks are looking for roles that are fully remote or that at least have that option to work remotely. And we've made updates to our site that will make it easier for job seekers to connect with employers who are hiring for these remote roles. Two specific changes that I want to share with you. First, on the employer side, employers who post a job on Indeed can now specify whether that job is fully remote or if it is temporarily remote due to COVID-19. It's also easy to search for these jobs. You just need to put the word remote in either that what or where box when you go to search on Indeed. And now, additionally, we made it even a little bit easier for you to quickly identify jobs that are remote. So when you search for jobs, take a look next to the location of the job in your search results. And you might see the phrase there, remote work available. If you see that, you can then click into the job description and read on to see, is it a fully remote job? Is it a job that's temporarily remote due to COVID? Both of these updates are live right now, so hopefully you can put them to use right away. Two more quick Indeed product tips that might be particularly useful right now. First, if you want to receive updates as new remote jobs become available, I'd encourage you to set up an Indeed job alert. And you can do that again, just put the term remote in either the what or where box when you're setting up that alert. And you can always decide how frequently you want to get those alerts, if you want to turn them off or on at any point in time. Second, I want to make sure that you are aware of Indeed's urgently hiring tag. So many of you have asked, are employers actually hiring right now? Yes. And one way to tell if an employer is looking to bring on new hires right away is by looking for the urgently hiring icon on a job post. So if you look at a job post, you'll see for some of them a little reddish clock, and it'll be near the top of the post. Right next to that, you'll see the words urgently hiring. If you're looking for a job quickly, these can be some great places to start. Okay, let's talk a little bit more about searching for a job. This is one of those big questions that you have asked us every week in different ways. You want to know, how do I begin to approach looking for a job right now? Where do I even start? And as I always say, first things first, if you want to start searching and applying for jobs on Indeed, the first thing you ought to do is go on Indeed and either create or update your Indeed profile. This will get you started. And then you can browse for jobs by location as well as by other features that are important to you. If you are somebody who needs a job right now, keep an eye on that urgently hiring icon. Look for employers who are looking to fill roles right now. And we're trying to make that a little bit easier for you in a couple of ways. I mentioned a few of them before. We're also each week pulling together a list of national employers who are urgently hiring. You can find the full list at the link below. But I'll share a couple of them with you now. So here are a few examples. Genentech is hiring for liaisons, area managers, executive directors, scientists and associate scientists, reimbursement managers, engagement managers, and postdoctoral fellows. AutoZone is hiring delivery drivers, senior retail sales associates, manager trainees, assistant store managers, and senior system engineers. Another one here, State Farm, is hiring insurance agents, customer service representatives, account managers, account associates, account representatives, office representatives, product representatives, marketing associates, and telemarketers. And finally, Instacart is hiring delivery drivers and full service shoppers. I will also add that many hospitals and medical testing centers across the country are hiring for a variety of pharmaceutical, technician, and RN roles. So those are just a few. Don't forget to check out that link in the comments for the full list. Okay, it is now time for our tip of the week. If you are looking for a job right now, you know that the process can be stressful and confusing, especially under these circumstances. You might find yourself applying for roles where you're never hearing back from the employer, and that, of course, can be frustrating. In cases like these, it's important to remember that employers are usually sifting through many applications, probably more now than usual. While some aspects of the job search may be out of your control, there are a few steps that you can take to really help you stand out to employers. And that brings me to our tip of the week. Update and tailor your resume for the jobs that you are applying to. If your job has been impacted by COVID-19, maybe you are thinking about branching out to look at new roles or industries, or maybe you're looking at kind of a mix of more familiar roles and new roles. All of this makes it especially important that you are tailoring your resume to the specific job that you are applying for. If you want to make a resume that employers will notice, as well as the automated systems that they often use to sort candidates, take a really close look at the job description. Read it through closely and identify some of the key words that they use under sections like requirements, job duties, education requirements, ideal candidates. And then what you can do is you can incorporate those keywords, especially those that align with your background, into your resume itself. Those that are most important, most relevant, try to get those sort of near the top of the resume, maybe in your resume summary section, to just make it that much easier for employers to find them. And you can highlight them as well throughout the rest of your resume. If you look at that job description and you see requirements where it's not as much of a clear fit with your background, that's where I'd encourage you to go back, think about that tip that I shared in week 1 of this live stream to really identify and think about your transferable skills. For example, if you are applying for a job as a virtual assistant and you've worked in the past as a restaurant shift manager, well, that might be a case where you can prioritize the organizational and the management and attention to detail qualities that you could really bring to this new role. If you are transitioning industries or roles, but you're just not sure where to begin, I'll go back to that tip. Just think through the past experiences that you have had, start to make a list of those hard skills, soft skills that you have built up in your past. And then you can take those with you when you look at those job descriptions, when you're building your resume. And you might find that you are actually qualified or you have some of those qualities they're looking for, even if it's a job that you have never held before. One of the most important things to remember when you are updating or creating your resume is to make sure that it is easy to read. Employers typically spend only a couple of moments looking at your resume, which means that you want to make a strong, clear first impression. This means put that important information up at the top, make it easy to locate. Ask yourself, what are the couple of things that most qualify me for this position? And make sure that those show up in your summary. If you need some help putting together your resume, I recommend that you check out resumebuilder.indeed.com. You're going to find a resume building tool here, streamlined resume formats. And if you're looking for examples of resumes from different fields, this is where I'll direct you to our Indeed Career Guide. In the Career Guide, there's a section on cover letter and resumes that will give you a host of different examples and information that's going to help you take this even a step farther as you're working to create that great resume. If you want to upload or create an Indeed resume, you can do that at my.indeed.com/resume, and then you'll be able to apply for jobs even that much more easily. Also, if you make that resume public, so you can choose private or public for your resume setting, this will then allow employers to find and contact you about new opportunities. And the last thing I'll share on this front, last week we talked a bit about that ready to work hashtag that you can now add to your Indeed profile. So if you are looking to get a new job immediately, if you are ready to work tomorrow, go into your profile, add that ready to work hashtag, and employers can know that you're somebody who is available right away. So hopefully this helps you get started on creating a great resume. If you have specific questions, if you want more tips, if you want more information, again, put those in the comments and we can come back to you with more next week. All right, so let's take a step back and look at the bigger economic picture. You have been asking us, how is COVID-19 impacting the job market? To answer that question, I'm going to share another quote from one of our Indeed economists, Daniel Culbertson. So Daniel says this week, naturally, many job seekers are wondering what the labor market will look like on the other side of this. But I fear it's much too early for economists to have a solid answer. In a recent survey from the Wall Street Journal, economists were split. Nearly half, 47.1%, nearly half of economists surveyed expected a quick recession with a sharp rebound, while most of the rest, 45.1%, anticipated a long, slow recovery. At any rate, it appears for now that the economic rebound depends on the course of COVID-19. A couple things jump out for me here. First, we continue to see that data on this economic crisis is lagging behind the economic situation, and that's likely to continue until the market starts to stabilize a bit more. Also, there remains an immense amount of uncertainty right now, even from the experts. The good news is that there are a number of economists, close to half, as Daniel mentions, who believe that the economy may rebound quickly after COVID-19. We just won't truly know until COVID's course in the US becomes a little bit more clear, but we will keep you updated. If you want to learn more right now about what's going on in the US job market and the global job market, go to hiringlab.org and you can find lots of great information there. This is a resource that Daniel and our team of Indeed economists updates daily. All right, and finally, we are going to answer a couple of your questions. The first question that you've shared here: how do you find a job with no experience? So thank you for this question. It can certainly be daunting to apply for jobs when you have little or no work experience, especially right now. However, there are absolutely employers who are eager to hire enthusiastic and driven candidates to fill entry-level positions. And remember, looking for a job without experience, without formal work experience, does not mean that you have nothing to contribute or that you have nothing to put on your resume or to discuss with an employer. This is a place where I'd really encourage you to go back to that skills mindset, to think about the skills that you have developed. And maybe that isn't through a past job, maybe that's through education or coursework or hobbies or volunteer activities, tasks that you do regularly around the house. You can start to make a list of these skills and think about how they might be applicable to some of the jobs that you're considering. And in cases where you can point to specific activities, all the better. Think about the activities that you've done, the skills that map to those, and bring those forward when you're applying for some of these entry-level roles. Let me give you a couple examples just to kind of get your mind going around this. So an administrative assistant or a pharmacy tech role might be a good fit if you are somebody who has strong organizational skills. If you are somebody who is calm under pressure, you might consider a job as a firefighter. If you have strong interviewing skills, perhaps a claims adjuster. If you have strong interpersonal skills, you might be well suited for a role as a sales representative. If you have a knack for computer science or design, you might think about web designer roles. So like I said, these are just a couple examples, but hopefully this gives you a way to think about how to position yourself for an entry-level role, even if you don't have much work experience. Okay, next question here is about fraudulent jobs. What do I do if I think I found a job on Indeed that isn't real? It is important to be aware that in uncertain times, bad actors can take advantage of the situation. Indeed is working proactively to make sure that fraudulent jobs don't appear on the site and that when they are reported, we take that very, very seriously. If you come across a job as you are searching on Indeed that is fake or offensive or inaccurate, we want to know about it. Here are a couple of best practices for identifying scams and protecting yourself from them. Some red flags for fraudulent employers include: if you are asked to wire money, it is a scam, report it. If you receive a check via email from an employer, it is a scam, report it. If you are asked to provide passwords of any kind, it is a scam, report it. So if you come across any of those instances, I'm going to tell you how to report a fraudulent job. The first thing you want to do is to find that job that you want to report, click on the job posting, and then scroll down to the very bottom. You're going to see right at the bottom of the posting a button that says Report Job. Select that button. It's then going to take you to a report that you can fill out, a Report This Job form. Complete that form and submit it to Indeed. These reports are extremely valuable in our efforts to remove spam, fraud, and low quality job postings so that we can make Indeed a safer place for our job seekers. Okay, last question here. I have received a job request, but I'm skeptical because I don't know how the company will process new employees. On this one, I recommend following up with your primary contact at that employer to find out how they plan to proceed. Different employers are handling interviewing and hiring differently during this time. So it's just a good practice to stay in contact with them, get the most up-to-date information, understand how they might be changing things. And it's also just a good way to show that you remain interested in the role. And again, if this goes beyond just sort of not knowing what to do right now, if there's something about the job that feels suspicious, go back to that advice that I gave about reporting a fraudulent job if you think this might be something more than just sort of confusion or slowness because of the moment that we find ourselves in. Okay, that is it for today's live stream. Thank you so much for tuning in. We hope that you will come back next week and join us for another update here at Indeed Live. And we hope that you found this helpful, and we will see you soon. Thanks.